Welcome back, everyone, to the W Sports Podcast. We are ready to go for all things your NFL and college football. Yeah, college football. I was like, which one did I say first? College football weekend as we head into the middle of October. So, hope you all are ready. Tubby, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, it's a big weekend, hopefully, for college football.
It really is. We're going to get into some of the matchup storylines of that and also the NFL in today's episode. So if you were like, man, that's what I came here for, awesome. If you came here for maybe some NLCS, ALCS, DS, all that kind of stuff, don't worry. We're going to get to that actually later in tomorrow's show that is going to be released. So, but stick around. And if you have not already, be sure that you hit the subscribe button because Tubby just put out a brand new video about what?
Giveaway.
Let's go. So he actually did the reveal. So you can go on our YouTube page. You can find out what the actual reveal is, unless Tubby's going to bring it up. Right. Oh, he's got it right here. Signed jersey. Guys, that's incredible. What an easy giveaway. And Tubby, what do they have to do to qualify for this giveaway?
I mean, it's super simple. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
That's it. That is it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's wild about that is there's not even a paywall. You don't have to pay anything to
No.
support this podcast. You just subscribe. That's it. So we're gonna keep it simple. And for those who have already subscribed, you guys are qualified as well. But also just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the show. We're growing, and it's
Yep.
exciting to be a part of a podcast that people just it's just different. It's not all the ESPN stuff that's always over there. Sorry to name drop that, but I mean honestly, how much ESPN are you watching anymore these days, Tubby?
Very, very, very
Yeah.
little.
Who would have thought when we were in high school that we would be saying that?
I know. I just can't. I can't get behind it anymore.
Yeah, they've let go of too many of my favorite reporters, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just I don't know. So,
Yeah.
and Fox Sports can't figure themselves out. But anyway,
No.
that's why you have an independent podcast that you support and that you just follow. So, thank you guys again, everyone who does that. But enough of all the chatter. Let's get straight to it. It's Red River Rivalry weekend. I knew I was going to butcher that, and here we are. Red River Rivalry weekend and OU Texas. Texas is a 14.5 point favorite. Tubby, you're ripping OU right now as we speak.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
how in the world can OU compete? I'm going to ask you that. How can they compete?
Defense.
Defense.
It's,
Okay.
it's going to be the defense because we Texas, they do have a strong offense. As much as we talked about it at the beginning of the year, how it may not be as explosive as last year. And that's still to be debated because they haven't really played a defense at all this year. It's going to be the defense. I mean, yeah, Oklahoma's had their struggles on offense, and we know that's probably still going to continue this week, more than likely. But that defense can just keep them in the game. They
Mm-hmm.
have every shot. I mean, it's the Red River Rivalry. This game, you never know who's going to win. It doesn't matter who's ranked higher or whatever. Besides, as long as both teams have a quarterback, it's not going to be an absolute blowout most of the time.
Yeah, and I think that's what Steve Sarkisian mentioned that recently. He was like, this game outside of the Davis Bevel OU game where it was 49-0.
Mm-hmm.
This is always a one possession game. So if
Yeah.
anybody out there is like looking at a 14.5 point, I get OU's offense is not effective right now, but good lord, this is the rivalry game for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Anything could happen, and even in years where OU has been a score favorite, it's still been a one possession game. So we'll see how it plays out. But Quinn Ewers is set to play.
Yes. Yeah. Quinn Ewers going to play. Oh, you got the bad news today. Deion Burke is not going to play. So once again, they're down their top 5 wide receivers. But do you know the last time Oklahoma played Texas when Texas was ranked number 1?
Was it a Vince Young time?
Nope.
Colt McCoy.
1984.
So I wasn't even close. Okay, all right.
You know what the final score of that game was?
I'm 19. What was it year?
84.
84. I'm going to say 17-14.
15-15. Ended in a tie.
All right. I don't think it's ending in a tie, but I was in the ballpark.
Yeah, you were pretty close. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that the other day and I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's how different college football was, what, 40 years ago, that you could have ties.
Yeah. Can you give me maybe the key? Texas wins if what?
Quinn Ewers plays good. I mean, he's been out, what, 3 or 4 weeks now?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have some rust, and that will play to Oklahoma's favor. Him not being in game shape, so to say,
Game
because
speed, maybe.
he hasn't played in football for since week 2, week 3. So
Mhm.
that will be a big key. They need him to come out and not turn the ball over and be efficient.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, plays right into Oklahoma's hand, and
Mhm.
that defense will
It's
have some answers for him.
Yeah, it's a defense that's created turnovers, has gotten behind the line of scrimmage, which that specifically
Mm,
they have not done very well
yeah.
last year into conference play, last couple of years in conference play. So that is a big piece of it. I think for OU, and you correct me whatever piece that you think is, OU has to be effective on offense. I know that's a stupid vague
Yes.
statement, but if they're not getting first downs, if they're not converting third downs, if they're not holding onto the ball longer than 45 seconds before they punt it on a 3 and out with
Hmm.
2 incompletions,
Yeah.
doesn't matter how good that defense plays, they will not compete in this game, and that's how you could see it become a
Hmm.
17 point win.
Yeah.
I do think it's going to be a close game. It's one of
I
those
do
that
too.
I'm looking forward to it being at a weird time. I mean, we've always had it at 11 a.m., so it's going to be right there
Yep.
in the middle of the day, though.
Yeah, I'll be a little bit more specific for the offense. I think it's going to have to be the run game. They're going to have to figure something out with this run game. Taylor Tatum sounds like he's going to be back this week, so that will help Oklahoma, especially since he has been their most effective runner whenever they gave him the ball. They will have to figure out something on the ground, because if not, you're putting everything on a true freshman quarterback with that wide receiver group that he has without any really experience on that in that wide receiver
Mhm.
group.
Yeah. And we're gonna. Any other final thoughts you have on this game specifically before we hit some of the other key matchups for this
I
weekend of
think
football?
what is the total? I think was it 50 and a
Oh,
half, something like that.
yeah.
I'm taking the under.
Yeah, take under that. Not with
I
the
think
lack of explosives, and Texas, like you had mentioned, has not played a tough defense
mm-mm.
like this yet. So,
I mean, look what Oklahoma's done to every offense that they played. I mean, they've completely shut them down. Yeah, maybe Oklahoma, they can say Oklahoma hasn't played an offense that's explosive, but I think maybe we can look at Tennessee, and they've got some explosive players on that team, but I think
mhm.
it's going to be a much lower scoring game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's a rivalry game too.
Mm-hmm.
Some the last couple that weren't I mean, have had
Yeah,
incredibly high scoring games because that's just how bad the defenses have been. I think both these teams are a
yeah,
little bit better on that.
yeah.
We look at this, and where's game day this weekend?
Eugene.
Okay, that's what I thought. As it probably should be. I get OU Texas is
Oh
a big
yeah,
rivalry, but number 2 versus number 3, Ohio State versus Oregon, Dylan Gabriel versus this Big 12 conference foe. At least they get him at home. What are you seeing in this game?
I think Oregon's going to beat them. I think Oregon beats them by a decent amount. I don't think it's going to be relatively close, honestly. I think Ohio State hasn't been challenged at all.
Yeah.
At least Oregon played BYU. I mean, Boise State. And I've seen Ashton Genty, and I'm sure they're probably going, okay, well, we got to stop the run
Hmm.
with Judkins and Henderson, and you throw Howard in there.
Hmm.
I think they're going to make Will Howard beat them with his arm, and I just don't know if he can do that, because we've talked about it. He's not a very effective thrower, especially down the field.
Hmm.
I think this defense is going to come ready, and I think they win.
Yeah, it's a tough road game too. I mean, to go all the
Mm-hmm.
way over to Eugene, Oregon, and it's a really good home field advantage for Oregon, and they're going to be hyped to have this conference game, a Big Ten conference game at home,
Mm-hmm.
just as the stakes go higher. So I think I do like Oregon to win this one. And we got Dylan Gabriel. It might be
Yeah,
one of the most underrated quarterbacks still in the game,
yeah,
and they're starting to get the wheels turning on that offense. The last couple of weeks, we've seen that.
yeah.
Historically, Tennessee has had a rough time against Florida, especially when they're playing in Florida. Now, thankfully, this year they are playing in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So, who do you have in this game? A Tennessee bounce back game, or does Florida scrape together a win on the road?
Man, that's a tough game, just because like it's kind of not quite so much on the scale of Oklahoma Texas, but it is a massive rivalry game, and it's really going to come down to whether or not Josh Heupel allows Nico to play more, you know. And he hasn't shown the confidence in him the last 3 games. I'm gonna shock her. I'm gonna go with Florida. I think Florida's gonna have something. I don't know what it is, but I'm not confident right now with the way this Tennessee team has looked on offense. When the first few weeks, you're like, oh, maybe this is one of the most explosive offenses in college football. Well, that offense hasn't showed up in the last few games.
Yeah, and Florida, they are trying to piece everything together. They don't have anything to
Mhm.
lose in this, and
No.
Tennessee does. I think this is the hard part. Is Nico? You have to open it up a little more. I know he's a freshman, so it's hard to do
Hmm.
that at times. And we're always going to compare him back to not last year's quarterback, but 2 years ago when they had Hendon Hooker, and that offense was incredible.
Yep.
What's unfortunate is Hendon Hooker was like, what was he, a fifth year senior that year, I believe, or something like
Yeah.
that. So like
Hmm.
he understood it pretty well. So we'll see that. I like the upset pick though. I like that. That's a good one. Ole Miss, they got again another bounce back SEC candidate here, going on the road to LSU against Grant Nussmeier. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And LSU, who gets this win?
I think Ole Miss does. I don't trust this LSU team. I don't know how they're ranked 13th. Honestly,
I know
I
they're
haven't
snuck up
seen.
there.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot from them. Yeah, they've got some explosive players on offense. Caden Durham has been a really big game changer, freshman running back,
Hmm.
but I just don't know if they'll have enough
Hmm.
defense to stop uh, Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's my biggest question too. Is Ole Miss should bounce back offensively and be an effective team on the road. It's always going to be tough playing LSU, but
Yeah,
if they can be crisp on offense, they should be okay. Because I don't that defense for LSU is not that good.
no.
And we're going to talk about one other college football game, and yeah, that means there's going to be one conference that's left out of our discussions this year or this week. ACC get better, okay. And now we're going to move on to the Big 12. We have Kansas State and Colorado, who we picked for 4 wins at the beginning of the year. So my question is: these two teams are 4-1. Who's getting to 5-1? Tubby.
It's K State. I
Okay.
I'm a
I
huge
was hopeful you'd say, "Come on, man, Colorado, let's
no.
go."
I'm a huge fan of Avery Johnson. I think he's
Yeah.
going to. I think he really stepped out a couple weeks ago against OSU and really, I think, put his name out there to where people are starting to look at Avery Johnson and going, man, next year that kid is going to be super dangerous. So
Hmm.
I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Hmm.
Neither of them have really great defenses, and so I think it's going to be a high scoring game. But I think Avery Johnson is going to be the biggest factor in that because he can do everything. He can throw
Yeah.
the ball. He can run the ball. I mean, 5 touchdowns in a game this year. Yeah.
That's true. All right. Well, sorry, I'm picking Colorado, and maybe it's because maybe I just Coach Prime. Let's go. But it's also because this is a 9:15, 9:30. This is a 9:15 p.m. kickoff, which is 8:15, I think there. But still, it's a later game. That can get screwy sometimes in the Big 12. So give
Yeah.
me the home team. Give me the home crowd. Sanders. I don't know if Shiloh's back. Shiloh's back, but
Yeah. I don't think he
I don't
is.
think he is. I think he's getting close. But I'm just saying, I'm calling it right now, and they're going to be ranked next week. 5 wins. They're going to prove us all wrong. They're going to prove you wrong.
I
They're going to
think
prove
they
us all
lose
wrong.
by. I'm going to say they lose by 21.
Oh dang! If that's the case, I really hope not. I think it is only 3.5 right now for K State,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
think that's correct.
can blow out.
I think that offense for K State is.
We'll
I
find
don't.
out.
They haven't seen an offense like this at all this year.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
much as we talked up Dylan Raiola, Avery Johnson is light years ahead of Dylan Raiola.
it's true. Yeah, Dylan, he looks like a freshman, but he's going to be good. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's move to the NFL, and we're going to talk about a couple teams who are desperate for a win because if they don't, they could be like the 49ers and end up 2-4 after this week, or the Cincinnati Bengals. If they lose, they'll be 1-5. Give me the team that you think is less likely to end that way. Now, granted, probably both of them are going to win, and we're not even going to. It's going to matter. But who do you think ends this week with a loss
I'm going 49ers
tonight? Okay, you're calling it
tonight.
quick. Let's go.
This is it, tomorrow's episode when we talk fantasy, I wanted to pick two 49ers to not play. But
Hmm.
to not start. But I don't know. There's just something with this 49ers team. We talked about last week. We're not exactly sure what it is, but offensive wise, they are not explosive right now.
Hmm.
And I don't know what it is, but I do not trust Brock Purdy in that offense right now. And it's in Seattle. It's on a Thursday. You never know what's going to happen on Thursday games. Give me
Yeah.
Seattle to win.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I do think 49ers do pull this one out, but I am more worried about them being 2-4 than I am Cincinnati going 1-5.
Mm-hmm.
Those who, I mean, you probably caught it already. Uh, the San Francisco playing on Thursday Night Football against Seattle in Seattle, and then Cincinnati they are playing. I can't remember who. scroll through here. New York Giants. That's why I'm like, I
Yeah.
think I'm not as worried about it. But yeah, so let's move on. We got Detroit coming off a bye going against one of America's old teams in the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
This is, I believe it's in Dallas, but Detroit's had 2 weeks to prepare for this. And even last week, it felt like Dallas was almost, I was going to say gifted a win,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they won that game against Pittsburgh. So tell me, who's coming out on top on this one?
It's Detroit. Dallas does, right now. Dallas doesn't want to play in Dallas. They stink at home. They cannot win at home, and they give up a lot of rushing yards for some reason at home. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs. Give me David Montgomery to run all over them.
Yeah, I do like that, and keep that in mind for tomorrow's fantasy episode. Might see one of those guys sneak in there for Tubby. Maybe for me, I don't know. We'll see. But I like that too. I like Detroit coming off a bye. This team, they looked a little bit worrisome after they had the loss, and then they got back to business. They're a run-first football team against a team like you just mentioned. It's been getting up a lot of rush yards, and that's been the Achilles heel for this team, especially come playoff time. So we'll see. We had our first head coach get fired. And Tubby, I'm just going to ask you, as a former Packer fan, do you think Aaron Rodgers had anything to do with this firing?
1,000,000%.
But he said he doesn't, and the owner said it was all on him, or the GM. I can't remember. Who it was.
It was Woody Johnson, the owner, said that it was his decision.
Okay.
He didn't even let the GM know. The hilarious part about it was like his wording was almost word for word what he said when Mike McCarthy got fired in Green Bay. I had nothing to do with it. No. The media is making me out to have some type of, I don't have no control. I'm like, dude, they brought in Alan Lazard. They brought in all these guys because you wanted them there. You can't tell me you have no say in who the head coach is and who should be fired. Because the only reason why Nathaniel Hackett probably has that job is because of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Hackett lost he got demoted. Yeah. Any part of that is Aaron Rodgers' influence as well, you think?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, put all the puzzle pieces together. It's just funny.
Rodgers loves Hackett. He probably, if he had his choice, Hackett would be the starting quarterback. Or starting coach, or the head coach, whatever.
There you go.
And all that stuff. Rodgers, for some reason, loves Hackett, but yeah.
Not calling plays anymore.
No.
All right, well, let's move on. Neither of us had him getting the first head coach fired, right, Salah?
I don't think
so.
I
don't remember that. Okay, so we have a key matchup this week. I think a lot of people should tune into. If your team is on bye week like mine, and you're going to watch one game, I would choose this one. We got Washington Commanders, which I did not expect to say, versus the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar, Jaden Daniels, who is coming out on top in this game, Tubby?
Give me Jaden.
I'm picking Baltimore. I knew you were going to pick Jaden, but I'm going Baltimore still.
I mean, Baltimore's defense, where's it been all season? They're supposed to be this, high-touted defense, and their defense hasn't showed up. I mean, we just saw Joe Burrow throw for 5 touchdowns on them. What Jaden Daniels has done this year, the kid, it eerily feels a lot like what C.J. Stroud did last year.
Yeah,
and
it does.
I mean, we've talked about it the last how many years. They're really similar players, Jaden and Lamar, but Jaden already is a much better passer than Lamar Jackson is.
Yeah, and I don't think that. I mean, I think that is a hot take. I don't think it should be a hot take, based off. And I know it's a small sample size. Was it 5 games? But still, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm on board with it. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that is the week in football. So we hope you enjoyed the show. If we missed maybe your team or you had a question, feel free to always put a comment. We'll do our best to respond to that pretty quick. But till then, guys, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
See ya.
See ya.